to this computer. Oh, wait. Yeah. While it's recording, do you guys have the ability? There we go. Now you
Don't think we
should.
should need to, but
All right.
you
Share
never know.
Yeah.
screen. Share
We're good.
sound.
Let's
Share
go.
QuickTime.
Let's have a show.
Yay! Showtime!
Bring me everyone. What do you mean, everyone?
Welcome to Everyone Racers, a show designed for the world of low-dollar racing and oddball car culture. Doesn't matter what kind of lemon champ or lucky track dog league you run, SCCA or NASA, we won't discriminate, as long as you drive it hard and built it yourself. Join us each week for tech discussions, tips, tricks, as well as news and notes from the world of amateur endurance racing. And whether it's on the spot, hella sweet, or we're lucky enough and Chrissy gives us just the tip, we're sure you'll giggle a little and learn even less. Everyone report to the paddock.
This is Chris.
This is Chrissy.
And I'm mental. I let that one go play out the whole time. And we are Everyone Racers. Welcome to a vintage Lego antique car model set, episode 329. Now, the Lego 329 antique car was a 124-piece classic set released in 1967. Only available in Europe, but the same version as 329 antique car was available in the United States. If you are not putting together your rare and valuable and classic toy that looks like this one right here.
Looks like a Model T,
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of
Generic.
thing.
Yeah.
Couple seats, top
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Generic old timey car, which, you know, this is 1967 Legos. There are those blocks. That's what you're getting, blocks and wheels. So if you're not putting that together, then you should.
I mean, if you are, you should also tell us that you are, because that would be amazing.
Send us a picture. I'm impressed.
Right?
Yeah, 100%. So,
Oh,
but
I bet Jackie
you should be
has one of
working on
those.
suggestions for our E1R bingo card.
That would be
Because
great.
we're gonna revise it. We've got Moon Trailer. It's still going on there, even though Moon Trailer is gone. But yeah, we need to.
It's still funny.
Well,
yeah.
Like the boat, we still
100%
talk
be
about
funny.
it, so it may just come back around. So you never know. Because how can you
Yes.
not talk about the Moon Trailer? Oh, the Moon
Facts.
Trailer.
Yes. All right. So
Amazing.
I hope the fine young man who bought that is getting everything he wants out of it and not
hope
getting
it's everything you-
injured.
Hope he
You
hasn't been
dreamed of.
busted for receipt of stolen property or
From someone you're not sure who it is in the first place. So there's that.
Who's gonna file? My trailer got stolen. It's like someone took my half-eaten Snickers that I left on top of my car in July.
You're like-
No one's reported. Yeah.
at least not for
one.
that trailer, at least.
Yeah.
But
And
well, 'cause it
speaking
probably
of
was
janky,
stolen before that too. Like it's been stolen a few times, I think.
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of janky trailers, what are you guys working on?
Not janky trailers.
No.
No.
We don't have janky trailers. We have nice, well-maintained trailers that
It's
don't cause any
true, it's
problems.
true. Yes,
Mhm.
we do. I will paint
there we
on
go,
the buy some tractor paint, and it is very thick. We've been out, and it doesn't get removed from anything. Chris, I think you might still have some in your arm. And it's it's one of those things where you have to, when you're painting the interior,
Right.
mostly just the cage, but also see, there you go. It's on his arm. So you want to do the cage, you want to do the floor, and the car is white, so it's white. So yeah, but it just ended up getting everywhere. Both of us got haircuts this week, and both of our hairdressers said, "What's this white stuff everywhere?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, that's paint." This is after multiple washes too. So,
mine just said, "Is there paint in your hair?" It's like, "Oh yeah."
Oh,
yeah, okay. Yeah.
Mine might have said, "Is this paint?" But still, like, yes, it was multiple places, and she was like, "Let me just cut this out in a whole bunch of places because it was that thick of paint." So I was helping Chris paint the cage. Two of us painting, it makes it go a little bit faster. So that's what I've been doing.
Now, normally we'd
Absolutely
like to spray it. That's what I usually do. But it is January in Pennsylvania, and it was like 15 degrees during the days we were doing this. So we were enjoying our heated, insulated garage to be able to paint at all, but I'm not spraying inside a enclosed space with an open flame. So this is all brush and roller.
Except
Takes
the brush and roller with the heat on did not go as well. And this might be not just the tip. It
This
might be
could be
just the
just a
tip.
tip. I
It
think it's a
could be
good
just the tip.
We'll save
All
that
right,
for
start
later.
out. Okay, okay. All right,
Yep.
never mind.
So are
Wait
we
for it.
are we looking at it as just the tip as in you'll be doing it again, or
Learn from our
You shall
mistakes.
see.
Learn from our mistakes. That's what the just the tip is.
Or know this new thing.
okay? Because I
Yep.
have tractor paint for the interior of my 914 because I want something that's durable and tough. I'm not going to have the same temperature problems, but
You'll
I
see.
am curious
talk.
as to the how it came out with the brush and the rollers rather than using a sprayer.
If I'll say our
Oh.
just a tip is going to be different, but I'll say
Yes, correct.
if I could have sprayed, I would have.
Yes.
And I would
Okay.
again because of the speed and even coverage.
And non getting everywhere all over us. And
Spray gets everywhere, just in a different kind of way.
Spray gets
yeah,
everywhere. That's why you
but we
roll
got
it
a lot of
outside. You don't care.
but we got a lot of drips. No, inside. So you're,
Mhm.
you know, the rolling on a part of the roll cage makes it so that it drips on everything else. It's all white, but when you look close, just don't look closely is what it comes down to.
It looks really nice from a little ways
It does.
away.
It does.
Yeah. And, hey,
And it
it's
was a lot
durable,
of work.
It's clean. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've also was doing other things before we got to painting. I did part of the fire system on the Civic. Just got the underhood stuff done and then a couple of lines run to be ready, but I couldn't put anything else really in until the interior paint is done because it's all attaching to the car. But I spent plenty of time removing things from the interior, like wire harnesses and cables and things, so that I could fully fully paint the interior. And some snow removal. It snowed twice. I used my not so janky snowblower that tries to kill you.
I'll say, yeah,
That's
it's
okay.
not janky at all. It's just the murder
No.
blower. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Stephen King is going to write a story about it. It's going to be great.
Yep. Works great. That's all. How about you, Metzel?
I've actually been wrenching on a bunch of stuff. If you remember I know my long-standing project of my side-by-side, my Kawasaki Terriax, that won't stay in gear or it grinds. So I finally got the engine removed from that. It is now sitting on the bench because it's integrated case, transmission, and engine. So I'm going to go through and then see if those.
What kind of
gears
engine
are,
is that? Is it like a
It is
two-cylinder or like a V-twin or
yes,
something like that?
It is.
Okay.
It's a water-cooled V-twin fuel injected 650. No, 850 fuel 800 fuel injected. So
Cool.
yeah. And actually it's even integrated, the transfer case is integrated into as well, because I have axles coming out of both end of it that I had to get all of that done. So that is ready. And I needed to do that so I could roll the Honda into the garage, which actually we'll talk about on our main topic. Did Bid Nerds episodes, couple of Bid Nerds episodes. One of those, Ian from Apex Adjacent was in town for business, and we drug him out there, had him sit in on an episode of Bid Nerds. He and I went and got out and showed him some of the stuff that he's not a Vegas person per se because he doesn't gamble, but he did enjoy some of the sites. We took in some of the history, found him some of the good bars, and then we went go-karting on that Friday, where he promptly yet again whooped my ass. Got out in front of him and he was still turning faster laps because he was gaining on me. And then the second thing, he just finally got around me, and he ended up the two races we did, he was fifth fastest of the week, and this is his first time on the track. And then he texted me later, he knocked another 2 seconds off of a 40-second course, so he was in 39. So I think he was like in the top 10 for the month out there.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. He is a supreme go-karter. And finally, the SHOT Show is here in Las Vegas, and that is the shooting, hunting, outdoors targeting show. So it is a firearm based event. Some old friends of mine from the military, they have invented a dry firing training aid, and they have a booth, and I've been getting up in the mornings and going out there and helping them show their wares. They're trying to find a distributor or even some brick and mortar stores that are interested. If you've got an AR and you're interested in a proper dry fire training aid that allows you full actuation of your trigger and your slide for magazine drills, trigger drills, and adds another layer of safety because it prevents the firing pin from going forward. One of the problems with an AR-15 is if you charge it and pull the trigger, you cannot put it to safe. So you end up having to add a step into your training. And that's bad muscle memory. So he's been working on this for a couple of years. And part of our the thing we talked about way back on our New Year's goal show is being a better veteran. And I am helping my friend with his veteran owned business.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. I just came from there and I'll be there tomorrow morning.
Super.
I have no idea any of the things you just said, but
I like the end part that you are trying to be. This is your way to be able to help
Absolutely.
people.
absolutely, that's the
Great.
part I got, and that's great.
All right. So if
all
you're
the
an
blah
air
blah blah, the
enthusiast,
blah blah
yeah,
blah.
blah, blah, blah. If you're an air enthusiast, get a hold of me. I'll show it to you. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm good with that.
Dry pins and safe and stuff. I don't know. Yeah, sounds good.
I got the safe word. Safety.
Yay, safety.
Yeah. Except it started with AR-15s. I feel like that's like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
It is.
As my screen just scrolled away. If you've ever towed home after a race weekend and you are less than excited about actually driving, in the truck, which I thought was fun, section of Jalopnik, Logan Carter tells us about an experience with a 2024 Chevy Silverado High Country. This rig was equipped with a Chevy's Super Cruise, which is a level 2 automated driving system that, through a series of complicated technology, allows hand-free semi-autonomous driving on specific roadways. He says, once he get behind the wheel of the 2024 Silverado High Country and it set off, it was eager to get on the freeway and engage Super Cruise, so I didn't have to be the only one controlling this nearly 50-foot long setup. The Silverado made my job easier by projecting a camera feed from my mirrors onto the infotainment screen whenever I switched on the turn signal, and it superimposed and transpended red rectangle onto the lane next to me to show my footprint with the trailer included, which takes the guesswork out of the lane changes while towing. While you're towing, the truck identifies the trailer weight and monitoring engine strain and other forces. And the Super Cruise adjusts the gap between the truck and vehicle in front of you, accounting for increased braking distances. What it won't do is make lane changes for you, and that's probably safest for everyone. So, in case you are on the market for a new truck, the cheapest Silverado High Country starts at $70,000, and you're going to probably need multiple upgraded packages to get this auto towing package, but one can dream, can't they?
Especially when they start coming off lease in about 5 years.
You're on mute, friend. If you wanted to talk to people.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like our next tow vehicle will be a newer Escalade that has this. Seems like a great way to go.
So much when you are getting in the car and you have just, especially like hot weekends or really cold weekends and like
or
trying to
exhausting
win
weekends and stuff.
Well, they're all exhausting weekends, but
True.
I think there's sometimes that they're even more so if we're trying to win and you have a lot to pack, and like there's just some weekends that just take more of a toll, and especially when we know we have 8 hours to go and we have to work the next day. That's just, there's so many times we look at each other and say like, oh, why can't this rig just drive for us? So it's
or
coming.
like, you get in there, you're still maybe even a little amped up, and then 45 minutes down the road, you just feel the energy suck out of you.
Yep.
And, that's, you're like, oh man, pound the Red Bull and, try and the last 20% of your voyage is always the hardest. And so being able to kind of store some energy for that. Our buddy Pantless Matt has a new Denali with that on there, and he thinks,
oh, really?
Fantastic.
Mm.
Not this, he got the because he wanted the super diesel thing on there that they have. So yeah, I'm not going to sell him out, but yeah, those things are not cheap, but all right.
He's a baller though, so it's okay.
Totally. Absolutely baller. Yeah. You know the name Carlos Sainz and racing. What you may not know is Carlos Sainz Sr. is now the oldest champion of the Dakar Rally. Jerry Perez at the Drive tells us how the 61-year-old clinched his 4th title last Friday, giving Audi its first win ever in the legendary 5,000-mile race. Despite not winning a single stage the entire race, the father of the Ferrari F1 driver made no mistakes in his special construction Audi. Race contender Nasser Al-Attiyah was quoted as saying the Audis would, quote, last only 3 days before going home. Clearly, he's seen Audis in lemons. But he himself ended up having to retire from the race. Now, proving the age old or proving the old adage about old age and treachery will always overcome youthful enthusiasm. El Matador, as he is known in his home country of Spain, is turning 62 this April. Has yet to say whether he'll be retired after winning 4 titles with 4 different teams, but given that level of success, why would he?
Good for him.
Yeah, right.
Hell yes. Gives me
Christmas
hope.
time. You can ask young Carlos, how many titles do you have? Oh, no.
Oh, wah, wah.
Sorry,
Oh.
sorry, Carlos. The grown-up Thanksgiving table is only for people with titles. You go sit at the card table.
Oh my goodness. Hey, you never know. It might be his year.
It might. It very well
Maybe.
might.
Never know.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yep. Hey, have you ever wanted to race Laguna Seca?
Yes.
So you guys both have. And,
Oh,
I'm
yes.
I'm just going to tell
Yes.
everybody the answer is yes. Yes, you do. But you might want to go do that soon if you can, because a number of media outlets have covered the latest in many years worth of lawsuits of homeowners surrounding the legendary course has filed because, as Brandon Gilligy at Haggerty writes, homeowners perplexed as iconic racetrack materializes overnight. Yep. Lawsuit brought by the Highway 68 Commission calls into question the track's zoning laws. Operating since 1957, the lawsuits claims explicit racing use being not in the track's permits. The county of Monterey owns the track, has spent more than $18 renovating the surface and grounds recently, and credited with bringing in about $250 million in local revenue each year. The suit claims local jerks have, quote, suffered and will continue to suffer irreparable injury as a result of the continued violation of the respondents' zoning laws, end quote.
Come on.
So, absurdity aside, this is usually how bad things happen. So there's still hope, but go drive Laguna before you can't, because it really is fun.
It is.
And I feel like this happens with a lot of racetracks. We were about to get a racetrack in our hometown, and I completely struck a nerve with somebody I didn't expect to. And I was like, oh, the racetrack was going to be great. And they like went off and they're like, not if you live there. It would have been terrible. And blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, you're right. And so I was very excited. So I know that it's real, that people that live near racetracks or close to them, and if they don't care, then
No, it's different between building a new track versus a track being there for a whole long time, and then people saying,
right.
"I don't like this noise." When did
Yeah.
you move there? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the jokes in there is, Brandon writes, yeah, holy crap, we only paid 2.75 million for this house 7 years ago, and now with this track just showing up, we'll be lucky if we can get 4.2 million out of it.
No,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not how that works.
Yeah.
This has been there a long time. And it's
In
very,
Laguna, that is.
it's so
Well,
iconic too.
That's true. There really are no damages in this case, technically, because the
No.
value of in Monterey County, the values are going up anyway. So who cares?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
I'm gonna need you to show me on your trajectory of your real estate prices where the bad track touched you.
and
'Cause-
and the thing is with that track, we were only there once, but it is pretty far off the road. It's pretty secluded, right? So they're really good at noise as well.
they
Caring
are
about noise.
ruthless about
I'm
the
sorry.
noise.
Yes, caring
Yes.
about the noise, not good at having noise.
Good at making noise.
Good at making noise. No, they're good at policing the noise.
Yes.
And so it is far away from like when, just thinking about like Summit Point, you could see the church that was happening when we were on track. So it's things like that. You're just like, you're pretty darn far away. Sure. I'm
Yeah.
sure you could hear race cars. Yeah, absolutely.
The
Right.
difference is that people that live at near Summit Point don't have any money, and the people that live in right around Laguna Seca do.
Yes. Well,
Monterey
I was
County,
saying that the
yes.
plantation of Laguna Seca is not small. So yes, you can hear race cars, but it's not like the church is right on top, is next to the track that you can see it from.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. That's where I'm getting at.
And I think that your point is great. They have been good community partners. The Honda I was driving with Bill and those guys, jump timing, and that was enough to get us black flag for noise. Just, a 4-cylinder Honda running off time. So you're not getting any and I'll tell you what, if you're worried about your $4 million house, give it to me. I'll trade you mine right here. There's no racetrack anywhere near me, and I'll go live in your place.
Sounds great.
Yeah, probably
then
the
I'll
houses are
sleep.
probably about the same size.
I will I will sleep in your bathtub so I can go racing there. That sounds
Oh yeah, that will totally. You thought you had trouble with noisy neighbors until I moved in.
Yep.
It will
You're
absolutely
gonna
look like the sorry for party ride.
sorry for party. Yes, that's what's happening right there.
I will get a permit to have zebras just for that.
Okay, let's move on. The land speed citation. Those three words don't make sense together unless you are on Racing Junk, because racingjunk.com, those words return a link to this 1981 Chevy Citation land speed car. It is a 2.8 liter V6, normally aspirated with a comp roller cam, roller lifters, shot peened crank, H-beam rods, forged pistons, ported float heads, custom intake, and a Holly Race 390 CFM 4-barrel carb. The chassis duo in front and front at front tires are put out a 400. Excuse me, that's a larger number. 259 horsepower and 389 foot-pounds of torque.
That's astounding out of a boat anchor of a motor.
Seriously, it's
Right?
brilliant.
It's got a get rag 5-speed with a Posey 3 sets of Goodyear. What? Oh, with the Posey. Excuse me. 3 sets of
Posey.
Goodyear. Posey. It's a Posey.
It's
Oh,
Posey.
Posey. It's a Posey. 3 sets of Goodyear front runners. A Simpson harness. A full of course, a full roll cage, fuel cell, Kirky. Oh, Kirky. It sits on a 4-corner airbags. Oh, I love airbags. 2 Firefox 6.5 pound fire suppression bottles. Wow, 2 fire suppression bottles?
Well, at
What?
150, it takes a lot longer to stop. So if you're on fire, like you need to do
Goodness
something about it.
gracious.
And while the Kirky is probably uncomfortable, you're only in it for like a mile.
Yeah.
But because you're in it for a mile, you're a mile away from anyone that's going to respond to you on fire.
All right. I buy you.
All right. So
All right.
everyone wants to know, how fast is it?
Okay, hold on. Right, I'm getting there. The car is run 5 times at Bonneville with a trap speed of 152.7 miles an hour in a citation. It's in Columbus, Montana. $5,000.
Seriously, it's amazing.
What?
There's got to be $5,000 in that engine.
Yeah,
What?
absolutely. And they say they're selling it because it got classed out of where it was running. So you just move it to the next mods, and dude, seriously, that has to be the fastest Chevy Citation in existence.
Ow.
Yeah.
And built.
Even
Holy
ones
crap.
that have fallen off a cliff.
I feel bad though, because this is an amazing car, and they've got hundreds of hours in there, and they clearly take the safety very seriously, but they would not use code POD23, get that Racing Junk Pro membership. So there's only one picture, and it's a good picture, but
MG.
come on, guys, that's a great car. That is an
I want to
amazing
see
car.
more, right? Because there is just so much to see. I feel like
man.
to sell that, you probably should have just bought the membership even if at full price.
Yeah,
but anyway,
spend the $20-something and get you your pro member. Actually, send it to me, guys. If you're listening, Land Speed Citation owner guy, we'll list it for you, because we have a pro membership, and we'll put it in there and put all the pictures you want, because you get all the pictures. You get 5 ads and 50 photos, and you know who's watching it. And then you get videos. You could save your favorite ads and all these bigger thumbnails and a Racing Junk store discount. Why would you not? Come on. Yeah.
amazing.
Totes.
Okay.
Yep.
It's the feedback time.
All right. It is.
On the
Oh, wait, not
on
me
the
first.
YouTube, Michael K said, "Hey, tabs with holes big enough for hooks on the ratchet straps to hold down the cool seats shirt cooler, so even your dimmest driver can figure out." This is in response to our cage edition episode. That's a great idea.
Yeah, stuff you can do in the off season to make your cage
Yep.
better. And I feel like that dimmest driver is aimed at someone that is just.
Oh, he had someone in mind, without a doubt.
Uh-huh.
Product design went a step further on the jack point and welded a 1-inch diameter tube horizontally that sticks 3/4 inch of a tube and bolts into as jacking points and jack stand points. Well, that's good.
Wow.
That's commitment. He
It
said, but we
is.
covered most of it, so that's good.
Now, James M popped in there and said, I am debating between straight door bars and the bent the S bent bars, because the main hoop is going to be behind the B pillar. So he can't do the single bend bar style, because you end up with kind of an S, and
Well,
that'll get you
might be
rejected.
able to.
That's where
Hang
I
on,
was.
you
Yeah,
might be
we know
able
Chris
to.
has got this. Mhm.
Because
have.
we've done this. It depends on how far back that is in the B pillar, but we've notched the B pillar a little bit so that the bar kind of goes through part of the B pillar. You can actually weld it to the B pillar a bit at that point if you do it. Or instead of doing a full S bend, you can have it kind of come straight and then just do a bit of a bend and then go out to the middle bend. So it's not a full like S bend NASCAR one, but it's half of the way. It's a figure a smaller bend is safer in doing that. But look into see how much of the would you have to notch it in the B pillar to do that? Give it a try.
This is worth an email to John Pagel.
That's
who
exactly
will
what I was gonna say.
absolutely show you how to do it smart, safe, and affordably.
I was going to say the same.
Totally.
Tim B likes to rewrite our intro or what do you call that? Descriptions
Summaries,
of our
the
shows.
episode,
Yep.
yes.
In this episode, Chris drops the mic. Chrissy subtly tells Chris it's too cold in the house, and Mental does the safety dance. Oh, and Jeff makes headway on the garage, but still doesn't make any progress on the RX-7.
He's true. He's right.
Oh,
And Tim
oh.
continued though. Seriously though, thing is to change on a second build. He said, make the cage as big as possible. Not only is it safer, but makes everything you need to do in the car easier once it's installed. Yep. Add surgical tubing to keep belts out of the way when they're unbuckled. I mean, Tim, have you listened to some of our caging shows? Because it certainly sounds like
has he
have.
driven in some of our cars and noticed all of the great things that we do?
Right.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yep. Dealing with a team that has children and luxury sized manuals is tricky, but it's not good with some forethought. Seat positioning should be as far back with some tilt. Use sliders to angle up as you move forward. Again, he's listened to our install a seat episode. Add a steering hub spacer if distance from the wheel is an issue. That's a good one. Mark your lap belt webbing for different drivers. Oh,
that's a new
Put
one.
marks on it. Install 2 compatible sub belts so the buckle placement is correct for the different drivers. That's a great one too. If you need a big ass seat for your driver's big torso, look at a custom seat like the INDI seat, or they've had those like foam kits in a garbage bag that you sit in and makes a nice little impression for you, which is nice. He says when incorporating gussets, be sure to add mounts for your speakers. It's a great way. Gets them up out of the way and helps your fellow racers hear your amazing for playlist.
Oh,
hashtag sorry for party racing. Hashtag I heart douche stamps.
Oh, hashtag I love timber. That's what it comes down to.
Yes, everyone does.
Yes,
Everyone loves
yes,
timber.
and I know. Oh, I'm so excited.
All right, and it has been a while, but as you alluded to, Chrissy posted a "What you working on?" Now, Rob B was just getting the live stream set up working for Barber, which is
Good
in
job.
2 weeks.
Right?
Yeah.
John A was working on his motorhome fridge, almost cut an access hole on the side of the RV to remove the heating element. Ugh.
So you know it's
I'm
getting
tired of
serious.
fighting with this thing. I'm
Yes,
going to
let me
cut
just
a hole
cut
and
a
fix it
hole.
later.
Cut a hole.
Been there.
Yep. David E said, we're still transferring the guts of the new old stock rod shift Z-Tech contour transmission into our Focus transmission cases in order to finally get 5 non-grinding gears.
Ooh.
I can hardly wait to have a usable second gear for turn 17 at Pit Race. Absolutely.
Andrew S was sorting bike parts and hoping for a negative COVID test soon. Feel better soon, Andrew.
Hopefully he feels better by the time he's listening to this. Glenn F was saying he was wiring a second ECM into the S10 because one isn't enough. Domination is assured. Probably.
2 ECUs? Wow.
Ooh.
Greg S is using the vintage car as a heart-lung machine for an Alfa Romeo 2-liter race motor. Don't try this at home.
Nathan S was, quote, modeling shit. He's actually doing a very thorough, thought out gauge panel.
That's nice.
Bill F was working on the Mini Cooper prep for One Lap of America. Honda Fit was dealing with some deer damage and a radio upgrade.
Albert W getting ready to install a painless wiring system, trying not to freak out. Well, good thing you bought a painless one. Note they don't sell many of the "this is going to be really terrible" brand wiring.
At least systems. It doesn't say it on the front of the package.
Yeah.
Our buddy Greg was, quote, working on Mustang Misery, but I think we meant misery.
No, I
Spelling
think
is not
he
Greg's
spelled
forte.
it, he spelled it that way. This is literally copied from Facebook. So this
Yeah.
is actually how he
Yes.
spelled
Oh,
it.
no, I know he spelled it that way. I just think he misspelled it.
I mean, he wasn't sober.
Probably not.
Watching
And then Bruce
Bruce
had,
do
I
the
think,
work,
I think
right?
Bruce, there was another trail of things that I deleted from this whole thing of Bruce saying, well, it's getting better and blah, blah. Yes. Anyway, Corey D was doing finishing touches on his cheaty BMW. He's filling holes in the firewall, adjusting the harness, straightening a wiring, a little annoying miscellaneous stuff that takes 10 times longer than you were always planning for.
Mm-hmm.
But because you do them, Corey, your cars are good.
Always.
Well done, sir.
Annoyingly.
Yep.
Yes.
Sasha is working on designing a cage and safety setup for a car that needs a wheelbase waiver. Oh,
Woo!
that's going to be interesting.
Woo!
Keep the roof on.
Mhm.
I says, what brings me to a question. What is the model of that very nice seat the Civic has? Great to ask, Sasha. We always run the OMP brand HTE-R seat because it fits everyone really well. It's comfortable. It has reasonably sized halo hoops. It's reasonably priced. I've been buying them from a place in Ireland over the years, and even
Yeah.
with shipping, it was way cheaper with the exchange rate than getting them here.
It's
Still
crazy, too.
FIA rated. There's two models. There's the regular HTE-R and there's the HTE-R 400, which has smaller halo tabs. And we've got that in the RX-7. We had it in the Z and the RX-7 because of the way the car tapers as it goes to the roof, where the Civic and Mazda have room for the larger ones.
Now, we may not have a link to the Irish one, but we will certainly have a link to that seat for anyone else who is listening and wants a very good place to spend a few hours.
Yeah. It's durable, it's holding up well, and you're not hurt after a couple hours in it. You feel fine.
No, it's lovely. Except you have here's one. Sorry to interrupt. You have to wear pants.
You do have to wear pants.
When you don't
I'm out.
when you don't wear pants, it's miserable. Well, the Civic one, is it the same one as the one that's in the
Same one.
Mazda?
They're all the same. Yeah.
Yes, you have to wear pants. Not great if you don't wear pants. Just saying.
it just you can't leave everybody in suspense. Why? Why? Is
Okay,
it
fine.
bad if you
Fine. So the one time I drove the Mazda from my work in Potsdam, Pennsylvania to NJMP, which was it's about 2 hours, we'll say. It was much longer than that because I sat in Philly traffic on a Friday afternoon in the summer. I drove, and so it has no air conditioning. So I drove the car from work to the track. I brought a cool suit. I brought my a pair of workout shorts because I knew it was literally 97 degrees and I knew I was sitting in traffic. There is no lies here. This is exactly what happened. I brought my igloo cooler full of ice into my work. To keep it cool in the AC. Then I put it into my car, still have ice in it. And then I put my racing cool shirt on and a pair of workout shorts and a pair of sneakers and workout socks on because I knew that I was going to be sweating in 97-degree heat. I wore workout shorts and the seat ate my legs apart because it was so uncomfortable trying to clutch in traffic in the heat. You have to wear pants.
And this is because it's a grippy, breathable material, and put the grippiness on it, which is great holding you in place when you're race driving.
Lovely.
Not so good on exposed thighs.
Yeah,
that's all.
But I think it does make it a lot more durable too. So
Wear pants.
So all right, Matt F was trying to get his damn bird back together.
I'm sure it's gonna be great. Jim B said he's doing an M112 valve cover gasket set.
Mercedes, yeah.
Eric K says today was gig day, so besides snow removal, no car stuff. Too cold. He's just playing music.
All
Correct.
Right. Do you know who should not have to be doing her own snow removal? And I have a sneaking suspicion she doesn't.
She does some.
She does. Yeah.
She does some. Yeah, they do some. They do their own.
Well, I figured they, meaning him, but yes. But yes, Chrissy's mom deserves to sit in the house and be warm and comfortable when there's snow removal going on.
Yes. Agreed. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. And
Sorry, we missed you a
speaking
couple.
of your family, I did see something your sister posted about, when you're debating because it's cold and you have to get the snow off the car, but you also realize that if you've strapped in the two kids, this is the only time you're going to have to yourself is standing outside the car while you're just trying to reset your brain.
Mhm. Yes, it's probably unnecessarily accurate. Yes. But hi, Mom. We haven't said hi to you in a
I'm sorry.
couple
Yes.
weeks.
Hello, Chrissy's mom.
Oh, it's my turn.
Project Car Investigation. So if you are the or even a car person in your circle, you're probably going to end up with someone else's project. And I'm going to say at least once, but I feel like everybody right now is looking at their player going, what do you mean just the once? I know you guys have been given cars. I've been given cars, and some of
We
these
don't
are
end up with as many strays as you do somehow. I think mostly it's
no,
because
you
I'm better
don't.
at saying no.
No,
No.
we don't.
Where
But you
mental said, this is
but
going to
you
be great. I'm going
do
to do this and this and
yes.
this and
And
this, and then
then it's
scrap.
not. Right? Then scrap.
What do
No.
you mean having to work 40 hours a week and sleep and go out and hang,
And
and be
then
married doesn't mean I have time. But you guys still admit you still get one every now and again, don't you?
Hmm.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. And so this episode is inspired by recent events, and it's how do you make progress on someone else's project if you don't even know where to start? And it's worse, especially as we were going to talk about in this case, where if it is a stagnated project that has passed through a few mystery owners and has little, if any, documentation. And usually the parts that are pulled off are all thrown in the hatch, or they get moved around, or the box rotted, or this happened, or that happened. So
They
you literally
guaranteed to have plastic totes. Guaranteed. Yes.
well, I've gotten them without, and I've gotten them with like crappy printer paper boxes that have
Oh, that's
started to
good. Yeah.
fall apart. And what screws have fallen out of that? What's going on to that one? So if you guys don't know, 2 years ago, I came into possession of
Wow, 2 years ago?
actually, I think it might have even been longer. It might be
Wow.
three. Yeah. Sometime. My hair was a
Some time
lot
ago.
shorter. I was given an 86 Honda Civic SI that has an engine swap, and it was from a friend who had gotten it for next to nothing, and he needed to move. So he wanted it to go someplace. And I finally, as part of our New Year's goals episode, I'm trying to make progress and figure out what this is. So that involved all the getting rid of the moon trailer and shuffling cars around and getting rid of things, bringing it home so I could actually figure out what the heck this car is, what the heck I'm going to do with it before I just come after it with a sawzall.
Do not do that. No
And
matter what,
and
Mental, I've seen this car now. You
yes.
cannot sawzall it. You cannot scrap it. You have to at least pass it along to somebody.
And ideally at the end
Too
of this
much good in it.
episode, yes, at the end of this episode, you will feel as good as I did at the end of Saturday about your project car and at least have a path laid out before you. And the first thing in there, Chris, that you wrote, I wish I had seen years ago.
And that is with this kind of thing, it's not a project. Stop thinking of it like a project. You have just been given a puzzle. You need to use that mindset to start off. I need to not even solve this puzzle. I just need to understand this puzzle. Is this a beach scene with 500 pieces? Or is this one of those ones that's just white and 1,000 pieces and you want to murder yourself? Or is it the ones for the kids that are like 6 pieces? And you're like,
It's frog.
this is our
Cartoon
exactly.
frog.
Right, exactly. But figure it out. That's where you're coming from to start. And really, like what you do with any puzzle, just start looking for a bit. Just stare at it. Grab a beer and just look around. A beer and a flashlight. What do you see? Look for things that are going to be real problems and look for surprises, and you might find things. And we'll keep using your Civic as an example. Some things that I noticed as you were looking around. When you poked a borescope down the cylinders. Oh, those pistons are not stock. They are definitely not stock pistons. Someone's been in there, heating things up a little bit.
Yes,
Isn't that nice?
those are some high performance pistons in there. I like your puzzle analogy because also, first thing you do when you get a puzzle, you dump the box. Now, don't do that figuratively unless you've got something to do to clean it up. But pull everything out and unpack it when you're having that observation beer to stare at it and figure out what you're going to do. You need to know everything, not just the car, but what's in all those plastic totes and printer paper boxes. Yeah.
And while you're doing that, clean things up a bit, because there's probably acorns, birds' nests, snake hides, or whatever you call them.
Yeah,
For the people
definitely
out in the
snake
desert.
eggs. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. You're right. Who knows what in all those. Clean it up a little bit and try to identify the parts, lay them all out, see what you have. Because in some of it, you'd probably say, well, this is junk. Like, this is clearly just like trash that fell in this box. Or is this 3-inch stub of hose that's straight? No, I'm not going to use that again.
Yeah.
Get rid of that.
This bucket of empty beer cans. I think I know how this project didn't get finished.
So clean stuff out. And hey, who knows what you might find? There's usually treasures somewhere in all of this wonder. Especially if it came from impound yards, and there's especially treasures. Who knows?
I have bought actual race cars from impound, and yes, there was always a ton of fun stuff with that one. And so you've cleaned the car. The Civic, I did power wash it because I knew it had Oklahoma dirt, Arizona dirt, Nevada dirt on it. And I vacuumed everything out of it. So I just wouldn't feel gross touching it. Because if you're trying to get some momentum on something, you don't want something you don't want to touch.
Yeah,
so
great suggestion.
Yeah. So you get on that one. My thing is, I am not smart like Chris and Chrissy. So every time I unpack any of this kind of stuff, if I'm doing it right and I don't get in a rush and I don't get excited thinking I could do something right away, because I'm trying to get it back on the road in a week, I take lots and lots of notes and I write things down, and I write them down in words that make me, understand, not, oh, that's the flux capacitor inner cooler hose. I'm like, weird shape S cooler hose thingy with clamp on left end. And then if I do identify it and I know what it is too, I have painter's tape and a Sharpie to do that. And if it's got the screws that it needs to have on there, you put all of it in a clear Ziploc bag and you write on the Ziploc bag what that is. Another good thing is now, the Glad plasticware, in the days of when Tupperware was an expensive investment, are gone. You can go to the dollar store and buy like the Glad sandwich bins or the soup containers, all that kind of stuff for nothing, and grab a bunch of those and have your bolts and bins and parts, stuff that if you know what it is, you can go ahead and get that labeled right away. And then you can write descriptive things on the other ones so that when you realize, ooh, I do need an S flunky hose bend on this tube with a clip on one end, I know where I put that. So it is counterintuitive, especially if your brain works like I do and you get really, really excited about the prospect of what you could do. But force yourself to slow down, write it all out, put it in bins, label them, because you're going to go looking for it later.
And take pictures while you have it out, because once it goes back in a bin, or you don't remember, or you're trying to figure out what it is, then you can show someone a picture of it. Or later on you say, oh, I do have one of those. Oh, yeah, it's right there. Okay. Oh, where is that? And you dig, and you can find it again.
And with like, if you've upgraded your phone ever, you should have an old crappy phone in your garage that literally exists to do nothing but take pictures and videos of when your friend's about to set themselves on fire. Yeah. But just having an old phone is easy. And so you should take as many pictures as you could stand.
And after you've done it, now you got to figure out, you've got everything, you've got it apart, you got it cleaned, you got it spread around, you've looked at it. You got to start figuring out, what do you have here? Like, what is this? And this can be anything from, actually, and I'll add one bit to the last part. That's all. I'd say group things that look similar together.
Mhm.
Makes it easier to find later. Maybe they start to make sense.
Like all hoses at once, or you're like,
Yeah.
I think the
Then you
cooling
know, like if
system
I need a
hose.
hose, like I need a hose. Where do I have my hoses? They're right here. Here are my hoses. They're in this
Yep.
bucket or box or whatever it is. Yeah. That helps.
That
So you got to
that
figure out
actually
what
works.
all these
Yeah,
things
yeah.
are.
Yeah,
And like
that's
Mental
perfect.
shows me this really weird looking thing. And I used to work on these cars, these 86 Civics 20 something years ago. I knew everything about them. I did all this stuff. It's been a long time though. It shows me this really weird looking thing. It's got a little gear on the bottom, and it's about 6 inches tall, and it's got a open hole in the very top, and then two like other hose nipples coming out of the top of the side, and they're different sizes. And I'm looking for a second, and I say, Nina, I don't really remember. And then I remember, oh, that's a variable speed sensitive power steering hose valve. So
Oh,
like
okay.
there's
As luck would have it, I have our conversation from that, so that way nobody can
okay.
completely.
Yeah. So the one on the left is
Okay,
this
hold. There's a
really
picture. Tell the
Yep,
picture
there's a
what.
picture. It's so the two on the right are later speed sensors from OBD1 Civic, so those aren't interesting. The one on the far left, it's this big aluminum thing, and you can't even see the part that has the hydraulic fittings on it. But it's for in the 80s they tried to do speed sensitive power steering to change the assist, and it ran off the speedo gear drive, and the top is where the speedo cable comes out, and the sides is where it restricted the power steering pressure through it. Anyway, so like that kind of stuff, I don't know what I have, but you can start looking, figure it out. And actually, I would say that Google image search, take a picture of it and give it a try with some stuff. Say, what is this? And
Interesting.
Google will just
It
look
has
up pictures
gotten
and
alarmingly. Everyone's worried about AI. The Google image ability to recognize these things is pretty impressive. Yeah.
but then keep going and identifying stuff. Like, if you have any idea what this stuff is from, like, is there a post-it note written on the back of a cocktail napkin in the car or something? If you have any idea who you got it from, and you can ask them whatever you can ask them to get anything. That's good.
Mhm. And it,
And
it
keep
all
going
goes
here.
into it goes that documentation on that. And then understanding, obviously what kind of car, but what year, what trim level, because sometimes there are substantial mechanical and frame differences from one to the other. And if you don't know that, or start narrowing it down to an era, because then that makes your internet search that comes up next, or you start poking around in the marquee specific Facebook groups or Reddit channels. And I've had some luck with Vindicators.
Do you have one issue that you have the car chassis, but often what you're dealing with is which engine is in which car, which may be that there's easy swaps. So you end up with
Mm-hmm.
these
Yep.
kind of issues.
And those kind of things, if you see part numbers on anything, take a picture, look up the part number. And
Yes.
you can do that. Just Google the part number itself. If you know the make, try that. Rock Auto has just a part number search, and try that. It helps for aftermarket stuff. It'll at least point you in the right direction and say, what is this?
Worst case, you go into one of those Facebook groups or the Reddit threads or something and post, here's a part number, this thing on this project that I've got. You'll get like 12 snarky responses. But in there, it'll be
But
like,
you might get one
Search
helpful.
noob.
Yeah, search noob. But
Helpful
one of them
one.
go, I remember back in my day. That
This
was
is
what
Chris.
we-"
Yes, Chris will say on this thread. Yes.
Well, gearheads are snarky, but also I think it is in our nature to be helpful.
And so find that expert. If you know someone that knows anything about these, try it. There's this wonderful thing called FaceTime or Skype or whatnot that lets you. So this is the
Yes.
thing I'm looking at. What do it do? Do I need this? If you've got someone that has more knowledge than you about it, give it a shot. Even if they don't know everything, they can point you in the right direction or tell you some of the things
Totally.
and get you moving in the right way. And they'll probably help you. It's a nice way
Yeah.
to spend half an hour just helping somebody out.
Yep.
You feel good
And
about
so,
it.
yeah, even if you're not getting the 100% solution, even if you just get a 5% solution, that's 5% more than you had. And it goes back to
Yeah.
the puzzle mentality versus project mentality. That's fantastic.
Two more things. It's, you ever play that game Riven back in the day? Anybody?
Oh God, it's
Well,
it's right here.
explain it.
Riven was one of the very first. It was in the mid '90s. It was like a not quite open world, but close. Like point and click. Like I want to go here, and you click on the path, and you go down the path, and you get to this door, and there's this puzzle in the door. You're like, I don't know how to do this puzzle, but the clues to make the puzzle are somewhere down the island, over by the water. There's a drawing on the cave wall that looks kind of like it, and things like that, right? That's kind of what this is like. You gotta, and that's why all these things you're saying make sense. Like keep track, get notes, do pictures, figure it out, knowing that you're going to get a clue somewhere that doesn't, something that's going to be not going to be written right on it, but use the clues that you're going to find to solve puzzles later.
Mhm.
It's a different mentality. It's not, I'm just going to fix this thing. It's, you got to get the puzzle sorted out before you can fix it.
If back before like Motor Trend was a television network, if you wanted to watch car building shows, your only choice was Spike, the Spike network, and they would basically, the 30-minute infomercials from trucks to hot,
Chris is going to go install these cylinder heads on our Chevy over there. Well, we're going to tell you about this Edelbrock carburetor. Edsel, tell them more about that Edelbrock carburetor. Oh, well, the Edelbrock carburetor got 7 barrels and this and right there.
Oh, look, they're done.
Oh, yeah. Chris is done with that cylinder head over there. How we doing? Ready to start that up? Yeah.
All right. And while I've been talking to you, my co-host Steve took care of 7,000 hours of body work, and we've managed to paint the car.
Look how
But
beautiful it is.
what I did like about that is when they would bring into project cars, one of theirs, they would always show like the terrible boogered up welds full of like welding wire and all this other kind of stuff to give you a sense of how bad this project was. And you can do the same thing. We've talked about this when you were buying a pre-owned car, which is why I like to buy my cars from Chris and Chrissy, because you're not just buying the car, you're buying the owner.
So true.
I
And-
mean, we didn't come home with you, so there's that. But it's
But
cool.
what do you know about the person that had this car before you? If Corey Dickman gave you a project car because he couldn't figure it out, you're probably in over your head. I'm just going to throw that one out right now.
Just nope.
No, just start from scratch. But but if he's a V8 person and this is a 4-cylinder, did they touch it? Did they do anything with it, or did they just run out of time, kind of a deal? And then who do they hang out with? Now, I wasn't surprised to see the high performance pistons in this Honda because I got this car from my buddy Chris Mills, who had to move to Chicago. And Chris was a busy guy. He was dating his now wife, and just he had his priorities different. And he never got a chance to do anything with this car. But I knew he's big in the Honda world. He used to actually be one of the judges for the Nopi nights and that sort of thing. So he knew Honda people. And I expected this car to have some Honda mojo to it. And, he knows his hacks and he knows his talented mechanics. And what do maybe you know something about the people, or maybe you just know what hack mechanics look like. Maybe if you've got some expertise and everyone always does this one thing that breaks apart and you go and check that part and it's not broken, maybe you've got, someone who knew what they were dealing with. Are they just inexperienced? Or all the above.
Yep. Yeah. It's all part of the puzzle part. All right. So now you've gotten this far. When you're doing a puzzle, sometimes you need to use additional outside resources too. And what was the resource when a lot of these cars that we're talking about were built, excuse me. Resources were books. That's what we had. We had the library, we had books, we had things like that. Do not underestimate the value of this original factory service manual. I'm not talking about the Chilton or the Haynes. I'm talking about the real deal one. For lots of cars, you can find PDF scans of these just available for download that some enthusiast has put up there. I use these extensively. I mean, I have one for the Mazda, I have one for the Civic. I rewired half the Z, and that was all from an online scan of the factory wiring diagram. Great, super helpful. If you're a Honda Racing Line member, you get access to their entire tech library, which is incredibly helpful for anything Honda after 1990, because that's when they started cataloging all this stuff on their racing line. So this 86 Civic the Mental Scott, not so helpful. I couldn't really find anything. I could find all kinds of troubleshooting tips they gave the dealers in like the mid 90s about like the sunroof leaking and which transmission fluid to use and all kinds of crap like that. But I couldn't find the
Not
later stuff,
so helpful.
like for the like '05 Civic Accord Element stuff that I've been dealing with the case swap. I can give you every single pin out for every single plug on every single wire in the entire car. And it's really was helpful when I was mixing and matching all kinds of stuff. But find it. And if it's an old car, go on eBay. So Metzel, go on eBay and look for a Helms manual, HELMS. That was the company that made them for Honda, for an 86 Civic and an 87 or 80 or 86 Integra. Find those. It will absolutely help you figure some stuff out, especially when it comes to wiring and plugs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that brings us to a perfect point that Chris touched on before, but phone a friend. It's always fun when old people go, what a modern world we're living in. But I cannot overestimate the importance of being able to FaceTime. So Chris had to look at my horribly disorganized garage as I walked around this car and stuffed my phone into like nooks and crannies, and to be like, I could hear just a little left, a little bit left. Okay, yeah, nope, that's what I needed to see right there. That's this plug, that plug, that kind of thing. That's where this is going to go. But it also, just looking at it, when I had pictures of the engine and I had pictures of the car part number on the engine, Chris was able to identify that this particular 86 has gotten about, I'd say, 3/4 of the way through what was a very popular Integra swap. So you took the first generation Integra brakes, suspension, and engine and put it under the lighter Civic or CRX. I would have never figured that out.
I had one of these back in the day. I did that swap. I bought a $300 87 Integra that was actually really a fine car. I don't know why they sold to me for $300, but they did. And I swapped all of it into my 86 CRX, and that car was a blast. And quite a bit of parts of those two cars ended up going on and winning the GRM challenge in 2006 in Hong Nor's hands, for example. So I spent a lot of time with these cars back in the day. That helped.
Mm-hmm. So that's
Yeah.
the whole phone a friend aspect of it, or phone a friend of a friend or whatever. But yeah, get on there and then kind of use that FaceTime stuff. And when that happens, you've got to have to curb your ego. Like, well, do you know what this is? Your answer is, of course I know what that is, because you're calling them
Did
for
Chris
help.
talk to you like that?
No, not at all. Because when he offered to, he's like, if you want to FaceTime and go over that Honda, and I'm like, let me finish my coffee and I will absolutely put on shoes and we will go do this now. Vicky was waiting on us to finish up while we were doing that because we had lunch plans, and she comes out and still sees me under the car holding my phone, and she hears your voice and wait, what is someone else? Oh, never mind. And she just went back inside because it was going to be a little bit.
But
He doesn't
worthwhile.
say like that. He's probably more excited because he found a part of like, ooh, what do you have, right? So it's good for both parties. Usually
Yeah. There
shouldn't
was
be.
some joy when he realized the panhard bar had actually been put in properly and the frame wasn't rotting away. And
Well, seeing an 86 CRX or Civic that didn't have rust in the three spots
Just
that all of them that I've ever seen, even since they were 12
making
years
little
old, were
hearts.
rusting, right? That it warmed the cockles of my heart. And that is why you cannot scrap that car. You have to make sure to move it along when you're done with it, however you're done with it. It cannot be scrapped.
all right.
We're not there yet.
No.
Well,
So,
it can't be scrapped, but that does segue nicely into this next point.
go for it.
Chrissy.
Oh, decide on your goals. Figure out what you want to do with it. That really drives what you're gonna what are you gonna do? You want to make it a race car? You want to make it a street drag? Do you want to what do you want to make what do you want to do?
I think it's
'Cause
even
then-
more than that.
Okay.
Are you just trying to save it? Like this a-hole who had it before is one of those, if it gone by 5 o'clock, I'm gonna scrap it. or
That's
you know,
mental, right? No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
sometimes it is actually. But or or is it something you get because you're really interested in and you want to make it a project? Or is it something you're like, I don't know, I'll give it a shot. Let's see what happens. To figure that out, because that changes how much you're going to work on it and how far you're going to go with it. Or is it a
How
car
much you care?
right? Is this one? I've wanted one of these since I was 12 years old, and I have the time and the resources to do a full out restoration. Very
That's valid.
different than I want to get it running and see what it is and see if I like it.
Mm.
Which it's a good approach from it. And I'm glad that this is down here in the middle of it, because walking into that garage Saturday with you on FaceTime, I had a different plan and a different goals than by the time we finished that conversation.
Yeah.
Because not completely understanding what it was, I did not have a complete frame of reference. I did not have the same level of cataloging and organization that I had starting out, and I didn't know what I had. So some of my initial plans, not entirely, I'm not gonna say unrealistic, but they weren't what's best for the car, what was going to be easiest. And so, yeah, I came out of that with a different set of goals. I think it's going to be like a fun little street autocross car. And then we'll see what happens afterwards. But I shouldn't have to invest a whole lot of money into having something that fun.
No, and those cars are a ball to drive. You
Mhm.
can just hammer them, and you're not going all that fast, but it's so fun. Uh, and so once you figure out your goals, you know what. So go back to all this what we talked about. You looked at it. You figured out like you've got bits and boops and pieces everywhere. You have some idea what you have. You've got some documentation. You've got some goals. Now you can make a plan. Only now, after you've done all this, can you make a plan? What are you going to do?
And we're talking about
And
plan, lay it out on a timeline, be realistic. And it doesn't necessarily have to be date responsive, but certainly, I need this thing to work before I can,
Mhm.
get this thing to work, before it can drive, before it can do that. And,
Well,
make engine run, make
yeah, well,
engine run. Yeah.
that's it. Be methodical about your plan once you start it,
Mhm.
because you can't just dive into it. Just I'm going to fix this first thing I see. I'm going to move it and just go like that. That's enthusiasm's great, but that's not going to help you with your plan. So first off, if you got something that doesn't like move, and that's really a problem, well, start with that. Like, can you get it like the suspension together so that it rolls so you can move it around a little bit? Oh, that might be really helpful. Um, is all that done? It needs to run. Okay, great. Make it run. Does it like what is the thing that's really a problem? Is it just strewn entirely and taking around your entire shop and garage and trailer, and you just need to get the parts semi co-located? Okay, great. Start putting things together that are big and obvious. Like tackle the low hanging fruit to make it less of a problem in your life. Because the more of a problem it is in your life, the less like you're going to work on it and less like you're going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
start there
And the
and
more
know that
likely you are to get angry at it and realize that it's
yeah.
become resentful. Yes.
So pick those things off first in your plan and work from there. Like so for your car, for example, Mental, my suggestion to you is put it up in the air and solve like the suspension and brake and kind of stuff first, because that lets you get it back on the ground and only worry about getting it running. And the suspension stuff is stuff you totally can do, and you'll feel a sense of satisfaction by having done it.
Check it off the list.
It's reasonably priced. You check it off the list, right? And then you've got that confidence and enthusiasm and momentum going into the harder project of figuring out how the wiring on the engine stuff works, right? But you've moved it along. You're feeling good about it. It looks better. It works. And like this. All right, this is good. It's coming along. Now we'll move at a little harder project.
I think run and
So,
move will make such a big difference, because then you can move it out of the garage if you have a emergency tire change or something like that. And then you're the people you surround yourself with, meeting your spouse, will feel like you have made progress in something that you can say that it now runs and drives
yeah,
ish, right?
Mhm.
Movable is,
yeah.
but movable has a couple definitions. Movable can be, I can now push this in and out of the garage at will, reasonably.
But fortunately, he doesn't have a hill like we do. Also, he doesn't have his spouse is lovely, probably not as willing to push cars as I am. So, it all
I mean, you can
becomes
hook a tow strap to the back of the Miata and just
yeah,
pull it. It's a Civic, doesn't weigh anything.
yeah.
Oh,
Okay, fine,
absolutely. And
fine.
I love
If
that
you're
you
into
think that,
67
yeah.
Cadillacs, it's a little harder.
Yeah.
Fine.
I love that you think it hasn't happened like that already, but yes. But also, when, hey, you become less resentful of, all right, I got to do a tire change on the real car, or as Pat Carity, who was on the show months ago, we had the Honda Odyssey. It needs love. He was able to back the Corvair project out of the garage, put the Odyssey in there, then roll the Corvair back in or drive it back in, depending on what he was working on right there. And so that also, it keeps forward momentum because it is less of an obstacle now. And it is more of,
yes.
you've got the end pieces all the way around on your puzzle. And now you're just looking
Back
for
to the
anything.
puzzle.
You're looking for anything with the dog's eyeball, because there you go. And focused on that one little thing. And
Oh.
during 2020, like, we got on a puzzle kick, and that's what Vicky and I were doing
This hits home then.
yeah, we put together probably a dozen puzzles, and we would work on
So
them
did
until we
we.
got
They were
annoyed.
called a trailer and a boat and a Z. And
Yep.
And
Yep.
yeah, but you do the end pieces, and then you would start looking for, okay, here's all these little pieces that have this orange on it, and you'd walk by it with a cup of coffee in the morning and fiddle with it for a little bit, and then go do something else and come back to it. But it was the ability to constantly make progress, and the more that picture got filled in, the progress came faster and easier, and it was remarkably satisfying, because it would accelerate. Mm-hmm.
And I'll add on to that. You need to make regular progress on it, even if it's a half hour and you do one thing or part of one thing. Do that.
Or figure one thing out,
right,
and
it's
then
not
you have
stagnating.
Yeah,
That's okay. As long as and it doesn't matter. It's like, I don't have much time. If you have a half hour, do a half hour job.
which
Don't do the big one.
exactly what Pat told us when he was on the show. My little trick on that one to try and keep me on target is, usually I have the sheet on the front windshield taped up of the last update or something I did on it, or that sort of thing. This particular one, I have 3 sheets. Fuel.
Do you have a whiteboard in your garage?
I do.
Okay.
I-
Sorry, didn't interrupt.
I don't know, but that's another one. But I have fuel, spark, and compression sheets that, each with steps of things that I need to resolve. And then this, now I'm going to add the one for suspension on it, to get it to actually brake and move and stop.
It's and the reason I'm suggesting that for you first is I know it's totally in your skill set and wheelhouse to do all that stuff, and you have all the parts to do it, or you have a lot of the parts to do it. The rest are just Rock Auto stuff.
Mhm.
And then it's like, all right, that's done. Like, that's great. And you've inspected underneath, like, and then maybe you do while it's up. All right, then you're gonna make sure you got that fuel pump there and that it's the right fuel pump. Okay, great. You're gonna make sure the fuel lines are all together. You're gonna get that shift linkage on.
And also, I
which is
feel
also
like
while it's up.
everybody's got their own way to organize, but your fuel spark compression is, or air, whatever, pages may feel daunting. And if you're breaking it down a little bit more to this, like, make it move, make it drive, it's not like because sometimes when we have a whiteboard, it's not huge, but sometimes it just says like, make it run, or like build cage.
Motor swap.
And we do that.
Make exhaust from scratch.
But
Yay.
we do that knowing that there's many parts to it, and it's just kind of a thing that we can check off. And Chris already has it in his head of how that's going to look. But if you are looking for that list and if you're a check off person, make the list, right? Don't just say make it run, but lay out all those things. Like, did I look at the fuel pump? Did I inspect these different things? Because then you can check it off. And then it's all towards this one goal of just make it run, not like upgrade it and make it great. And like, you're not making it the race car that you want it to be, but you're getting towards these littler goals that you can feel better about. And it's not like your regular progress. Sometimes when we go out, or I go out and look and say, okay, what's on the whiteboard? Everything, like if it says make it run, I don't have time to make it run. So maybe just if you need those littler goals, you know that you just keep the engine parts or the compression paper. Don't keep it on the windshield. Put it on the whiteboard, put it on the wall. It needs to get done. But if you want to have those littler projects that you can feel good about and you can say, yeah, I checked over these 5 things because I had a half an hour. I didn't get too dirty. I didn't have to put a whole lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it or thought into it because I didn't have that time. If you're breaking it down, I feel like you might be better to be able to make more regular progress.
Yeah, I've got 30
I'll-
minutes. Oh God, there's so much that needs to be done. Oh, wait a minute. There's a 30-minute job right there. Boom.
Something
I'll
like
steal
that.
one thing from Garage Heroes that I like that they do. They put a bunch of pieces of tape on the car, blue tape, and they write on them with a Sharpie a job. And then when it's done, they tick that piece of tape off. Because
But they
mostly it's
can't
they
be
have so many cars that
make it run.
they can't just have one whiteboard, right?
That's
So-
true.
so
And they
the
do have one
entire car
whiteboard
is
with like
covered in blue
ultimate,
tape.
like bigger projects, but
Yeah.
they have to be littler projects, then make it run.
Yeah, no, that's you like, when you first start out, having a 277 point checklist to making it run is daunting. Having a 7-step process, make run, make stop, make move, make drive. That's
And then
digestible.
from those you break it down. All right, I'm going to concern with this one first. All right, what's my breakdown of this one?
Yeah.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
And but Sig, this is important knowing your goals here too. If your goal is to just getting it running and working to see how it goes, is very different than the forever car in the quality of work that you're going to do. And like I'm running into this with the Civic, I'm doing really good quality work, but not like professional restoration quality work. And I'm having to hold myself back. No, I don't need to do that good, but I want to do it to a certain standard because I like it. And I know I don't know what I'm
you
even
have a
going to do with the car.
reputation.
I have no goal,
Yes.
but I just want this to do this.
As you tell everybody, hey, have that goal. And you're like, that is yet, but okay.
I don't really have a goal, but I just know I'm going to build a car to a standard that I find satisfying.
Well, but that falls into, that's why you have the plan, the super quality restoration MG level thing. Sure. I've freely said this. I'll embarrass you again. How much time did you spend getting that Mercedes straightened out before you sold it to me? Because
Plenty.
this is going to my buddy, man. I don't want to be that guy. And you guys lost a small fortune on that anyway, but you went through and then you had to go through it again because you got the was it the misfire code on the, not misfire, it was the cam lobes or something wasn't aligned after you went and did all 24
I don't even remember.
32
Wasn't that
valves,
bad,
but
though.
yeah,
Whatever.
that
That
but
wasn't that bad.
it was something you had to go through and reset
Yeah.
on there because, but so it's the, quality versus, especially when we were in our 20s, oh God, I start my car with a screwdriver. I should get a really nice screwdriver. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I feel much better about starting my car with a screwdriver, but you wouldn't send
Or
that
one
to
we
your
then
friends.
didn't miss. I think that is how ours ended up anyway. Anyway, we
Yeah.
got a whole lot of bullets out here of what are we supposed to be looking at when you're trying to
Well,
line
that's
up
it.
your
Just figure
to-do
out
list.
what it is. What are you next? And Mitchell said that's to make it. It's got to, can it be movable? Can it run? Can it stop? And then can it drive? All those things and go through it. But it has to go through with the level of quality that you want it to be. Like, for example, it's like, oh, I need hoses. If it's, I just want this to run and see what I got, use what you have. If it's, no, I want this to be a track car when it's done, it's like, all right, well, I need a new hose. Go get your new hose. And that's why I suggest a list of parts that you need. Like as you're coming across them in the garage, don't think I'm going to remember all these parts I need to buy. Not a chance.
That's what the whiteboard board is
Right.
for, because then when you're done at the end of the night or the end of the weekend, you take a picture and then you decompress in front of the fire with a beer and say, yeah, I did a good job. Let me just go parts shopping.
Yep. And get your Rock Auto 5% discount code and go buy all the stuff you need.
And if you don't have a Rock Auto 5% discount code, when Chris goes through our contact methods, text us because we almost always have them.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Someone, yes.
Or just Google Rock Auto discount code. You'll find one somewhere on the internet.
Actually,
Someone's
yeah,
posted it.
even better.
I usually post mine up on GRM and in our which is anybody can find. There's always there's a thread of anybody got a current rock out or discount code, and it keeps getting refreshed when people got their current
Yeah,
codes.
That's a fantastic idea.
yeah.
We should link that in our show notes.
GRM.
Thread on GRM. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
All right, so Mental, now you're the one with
This is
the
exactly what I was going to
car
ask.
puzzle.
Yes.
Chrissy asked the question then.
Oh, how are you feeling? What is your plan? What are you going to take away from this conversation?
So, you know, going all the way back to our December episode, you know, I'm all right. I got to start clearing stuff off the plate. You know, I'm tired of holding on to useless things because I think they have potential and they don't. And this car has now moved out of
hang
that
on.
category.
They might have potential,
They
but
might
just
have
not
potential.
for you at this point in your life.
There
There's
Like a
there's
moon trailer.
difference.
like a moon
Right.
trailer.
Just
Yes.
kidding.
There's a difference.
No,
It's just, this is just not
valid.
for me right now. Doesn't mean you weren't right that it has potential, and doesn't mean therefore it's trash. It's just let's move it along to someone
Okay.
who thinks it has
Yes. potential.
It's an important differentiator. Or sometimes it really is. This is trash. I'm going to throw this away. There's a difference.
like a moon trailer.
Moon
Yes.
trailers,
you
but
know.
if you can sell the moon trailer for actual money,
And not like just took 5 beers. 5 beers, not a 6-pack.
right,
It was,
that's a
it was-
5-pack.
it was 2 12-packs. All right. It was regular Dos Equis and Dos Equis Amber.
Right.
Yes. And
If-
honestly, I still feel like I ripped those 2 guys off.
Probably. Yeah.
That van
People
was
don't know what we're talking
terrible.
about. This is not the moon trailer.
Not-
Different,
not-
Very
not the
quickly,
moon
Mental
trailer.
Mental once sold him a minivan that almost
That
didn't run anymore.
was
aluminum
on
minivan
like
in the middle,
kind of on fire.
in the middle of was Alabama or something like that for
It
the
was
case of Dos Equis.
northern Louisiana. Yep.
No,
Yeah.
no, because we just left Talladega.
Birmingham?
Yeah.
Alabama. So it was Alabama.
it
You
was
were in the
Alabama.
parking lot of a Texas Roadhouse when it just gave up, and there you go. Anyway, story for a different day. Ask us over some beers.
We'll have to dig up
That car
episode on that.
was what
Wow.
it was worth. It really was.
It was
Yes.
6
So,
beers.
Yeah.
11
you know,
beers.
having gotten out of my own head and reached out on that, yes, I'm feeling this is doable. Now, the immediate goal is to have a like fun, goofy, relatively simple Anvil-esque. Because I've seen these Integra swaps back in the day. That was always the joke back in Oklahoma was, you know, thank God they make Acuras, otherwise we wouldn't have any CRX upgrade parts. So there's, you know, just a lot of
It's like
fun.
Integra is Japanese for parts car.
Yes. And I think the car will be actually, you know, a lot of fun. And then when it's running and driving, then, you know, figure out what the next phase of it is. But, you know, once it's running and driving, and if I can actually try and figure out a way to get some plates on it, you know, now I've just got a thing that it'll hang out here. I'll take it to autocrosses. I'll run it to work every now and again, you know, just to keep it circulating and moving. And, but it no longer feels like a weight around my neck as I am trying to simplify my life. If anything, it is giving me the same feeling that I've simplified everything because I have a plan of action and a course to go through. And it is not daunting. It is not intimidating. And it's I don't even think it's going to be that expensive. And just laying it out, knowing what I have, knowing what I need, and knowing what is next in the steps on that one. Those times if you walk into your garage and you're feeling overwhelmed and you get a sense of anxiety or doom to the point where you just walk back out, that car no longer does that to me. So it's
That is great that a discussion could make you feel that way. That's wonderful.
you know, everything that we talked about, you know, the discussion, the organization, the preparation, analysis, and then laying out of a plan, just made me feel a whole lot better about taking on and tackling this project. And ideally, if you're listening to this episode, it's going to do the same thing for you.
I think those small goals are huge because there's so many nights when Chris is like, okay, so we've got a half an hour before we record the show, or I've got an hour before I need to do this, but I can't get covered in paint or oil or something like that. What can I knock out for a little bit? And walking out to a project and you're just like, you know, put engine in. You're like, oh, okay, I can't do that tonight.
Mm-mm.
I think small steps are helpful.
And it gets you off of the couch too. You know, you're sitting on the couch and okay, there's another rerun of Big Bang Theory, which apparently is on 17 channels at any given time. And you could stay there and do that, or oh God, you know, there's this giant mountain of stuff to do in the garage, but you're like, I could watch this show or sit on my phone, or you know what? I know I've got a half a dozen things I could go out there, you know, that I don't have to get dirty, nasty, smelly, hot, cold, whatever. And, you know, I would make progress. And then you feel better about how you spent your off time.
Totes.
All right.
Yep.
So thank you, Chris, again. That was, it was not just for this episode, but for Saturday. Cause yeah. And hopefully, you know, this thing gets
That was a great
running.
way to spend an hour of my time, is saving you weeks of frustration, basically, and
Oh,
getting you on target, right?
You are
Also,
not
just sending things to
kidding.
the trash, which is
Yeah, we're like,
literally where you were
why is-
headed.
Like, why is this fuel tank in this car? I don't even know what the hell this fuel tank is. Why is it? You have a fuel tank. That's not the right fuel tank. Trash that. And you're like, oh, great. I don't have to put a fuel tank.
No,
in
no,
this.
but
This
not
is
trash the whole
fantastic.
car, which is where we started this conversation. So
Almost.
right. But
Oh.
being able to reduce the clutter too. On that
yeah.
one. Now, because
trash something's not the important things.
Today was bulk trash day. Now, my trash company's probably not very
Bulk.
happy with Chris, but I'm very happy with Chris because I was able to get rid of a lot of just crap that does not go to this car. And that, you know, it now, because initially it was like, you know, here's a puzzle, you know, I think it's of a Honda, but there's some other puzzle pieces in this box and the box isn't really labeled that much. And I dumped that out and I'm trying to solve that puzzle. And by being able to go through going, not one of the pieces, not one of the pieces, I've now reduced, you know.
Why is there this picture of a dog in this puzzle? This is a picture of the forest. Why is there what?
Yeah.
What?
Also, don't forget that some of this is emotional. Any product is
Very much.
emotional. And you need to have that in consideration with what you're doing. And that, yes, this might not be the most important part of the car to do, but if it's a victory you're going to get that gets you momentum and keeps you going, worth it. Don't necessarily
Hmm.
tackle the hardest thing first. Tackle something you're going to be able to get done that's going to be a milestone. That's why I suggested, like, make it move.
Mhm.
Like, movable is better than non-movable. Even if you have to put it up on jack stands again, at least you know I can just put it right down and it's going to move and it's going to be fine.
Yes, 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 yes.
Like, milestone, good. Oh wait, I have brakes and they work. Fantastic. Doesn't matter if you're going to use them anytime soon. You know that when it runs, you're going to get that satisfaction of it. When it runs, you know what? I can back it up in the driveway and stop, and then I can put it back in first and drive it up in the driveway and it's going to stop again. Oh my God. Like, that's, again, emotional victory. So keep those in mind when you're doing stuff. Don't just go and like, I have to take the entire thing apart and go explode and then put it all back together. That's tough. You have to, you know, going into it, that's what you're going to do. So keep the emotions in mind.
Absolutely. All right. Round the
Cool.
horn. I think we done a car show. I'm
done.
stealing Ian's line
Yay.
because I was hanging out with him, but yeah, you know.
We did that.
That
Yep.
was fantastic. If you need help identifying one of your mystery cars, can't promise we'll know. If you get a hold of us, we'll help you identify it, or
Send
we
junk
might
pics.
know a Facebook group to point you at.
Oh no.
He's got to go up and get his speaker on that. Yeah, just like
Well,
that.
you had to go into a different room to get it. So
Oh, all right. Okay. Fair enough.
okay.
Well, he's getting a speaker.
Yeah.
I feel like it's time for
Just
Just
he's not even here.
Tip. Yay.
Okay,
Yay,
okay.
tip.
This is Chris gonna give this one.
Yeah. All right. So here's the thing. A heated garage is a wonderful, wonderful thing if you live anywhere in the Northeast, right? Or anywhere, not the Northeast, anywhere it's cold.
Heated
Fine.
and insulated. You can have
Yes.
heat, but you can't necessarily keep it in like one of our friends. So heated and insulated.
True.
Thank you.
Yeah. There are lots of kinds of heaters. There some of them are better than others. We happen to have one that is a wall-mounted natural gas flame heater. It's meant to be an indoor heater if you live in a house that is not very well sealed, which is fine for a garage because the garage doors never seal up perfectly, so it's okay. So it actually is wonderful. It heats the garage up very quickly. It uses very little gas for how much heat it gives. Like, it's wonderful, but it is an open flame. And there have been twice now that I have had problems with the fact that it's an open flame. and what that does. One is anytime I have gasoline fumes, like if I crack open a gas line or something and a few drops spill and the gasoline fumes get in the air, those fumes will burn in the open flame of the heater and it smells terrible in the garage. Like it's bad. We found out the second one of those this weekend is that,
Hate fumes.
but this is not a latex paint. It's not like a water-based, household nice paint. No, this is an enamel, like this is for tractors. This is the real shit.
Thick stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So when those fumes are coming off of the paint as it's drying and outgassing and are burning in the flame of the heater, even just the pilot flame, which is tiny, it created a pretty bad smell through that eventually permeated into the whole house.
Oh, wow.
It was so bad. I was like, we're dying. I have the vent fan on the above the stove. We have candles burning. It smells in our bedroom. It is
Well, because we have a forced air heating system in our house. So
just
anything in the house spreads through the whole house. So even just a little bit coming in through the garage, the seams of the garage door and where, the gas line goes through from the basement was enough to get just enough that over a lot of time, a couple of days, it really became a thing. So yeah,
like
so-
inside my car that has pretty good seals on
well,
it.
your car is in the garage. with
Yeah, but
so-
it's got good seals in it. It just like, it smelled in there too. It smelled everywhere. Kind of still, if you look for it, you can still smell it in some things.
Yeah. So
That's
now,
how bad it was.
So when yesterday we painted the inside of the second coat of the inside of the car, two of us, pretty thorough coat. I had the heater on in there during the day because the car it's been like a week, so it was dry.
Also, nothing dried the first time. I don't know if that was the heat.
Well, that's because how cold it was. Because
Yeah.
I was in that balance of I want it to dry. I need the heater on. The more the heater's on, the worse it smells and the
Yes.
worse it is.
So nothing dried. Everything. A lot of things
Right.
were tacky for
So
like
it took a
days.
long time because it's cold. Because the paint doesn't dry in the cold. That's how paint works.
Rolling
So
my
anyway,
eyes.
This time I heated once the paint was all dry. This time I heated the garage up nice and warm, and then we painted it and then shut the heater off entirely, shut the pilot off, everything off. And today there is zero smell in the house.
It's better. Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, be careful about what fumes you may have in a garage that has an open flame heater of any kind, because it's going to be different than you think. Anyway, that's just the tip.
My house doesn't smell too bad.
I
Don't
remember because
asphyxiate.
we had an big attached garage in Colorado, but nothing was over the garage. It just had like its own part.
Well, neither is ours. We're just
Neither
next
is
to it.
ours.
still.
But there were a couple of times when, like Vicky would be like, "Oh God, what did you do in there? This house has smelled for 2 days." Ah. So,
This was unlike things. This smell wasn't like you cooked bad shrimp or something. Like this was. It was
pretty. It wasn't like overwhelming, but
But
it
it
was
was-
there.
but it
and
was also
bad.
chemically, so it
Yeah.
wasn't like
But
you just
unpleasant.
it wasn't like
It was unpleasant.
bacon that you smell, but it was a
Or-
lot.
You
Well, if it was
cooked
bacon,
20 pounds
people
of
would
fish.
paint that all the time. Yeah,
Agreed. Let's tell Rust-Oleum you should smell this.
Okay,
Should smell like
yeah.
bacon.
Rust-Oleum, if you have bacon smelling paint, yeah, that's $1 billion
Sold.
idea.
Uh-huh.
That's
Oh,
just for the
Great.
the tip.
So we've killed this show.
Yay!
What's going on next time?
Unfortunately, listeners, Chris and Chrissy are not available next week. We could not get our schedules to sync up despite our best efforts. So you have to prepare yourself for a pair of baller ass guest hosts, because it's going down. I'm yelling Tim Burr and pantless Matt Veritas from Ranwood Park and Sorry for Party Racing
Oh my
are going to
gosh.
tell you how to make the most of your non-racing time while you're at the track. Grab those Speedos and your inflatable zebras. It is going to be unapologetically rocking.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to
Are you
listen.
ready for champagne showers?
Oh my gosh. And if you're not drinking while this show is on, you should probably save it until a time that you can drink, because it's going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
Those
Fantastic.
are top-notch people from a pair of top-notch teams. And yeah, we're going to have a great time.
And
They're-
top-notch racers
all
and
around.
team owners.
Great folks. We love them. Sorry, we're going to miss it. Oh, well. Have fun, guys. We know you will. And hey, thanks for downloading us. We hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Everyone Racers. We're going to hope you're going to join us in driving, racing, building, and puzzle solving, because everyone can be a racer, even you. If you enjoyed this podcast, subscribe. It's free. You can go to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and give us that 5-star rating. That's just so sweet. Don't care what you thought. 5 stars and tell us why. Questions, show ideas, comments, emotional outbursts, drop us a line anywhere we have things, which is pretty much everywhere at Everyone Racers or everyone.racers@gmail.com or text Mental. He loves to get surprise junk pictures. 484-243-0455. So that's about it. Thanks again. Until next week, keep the shiny side up, unless you're just surrounded by plastic tubs full of random greasy parts. Then just do the best you can. Follow our advice. Keep those wheels down.